Some of this, right? Political party brand analyst Dr. M.K. Zwakala joins us to unpack it. Dr. Zwakala, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So, I mean, if you just look at the comparison of what we heard Floyd Shivambu saying to Newsroom Africa just 4 days ago, saying the party was aware of my visit to Malawi, and that there was a sense that there certainly was nothing wrong with his visit to Shepherd Bushiri's church. And now the announcement today, are you taken aback by the announcement by the MK party? And what do you think this, the message certainly is that is being sent to the party supporters?
Not really. Surprised. Good evening, Reggie. Good evening to your viewers as well. As the old adage goes, where there's smoke, there's fire. We've certainly seen the fake letters, as it were, on Twitter or X, if you like, about the suspension of Floyd. Certainly a lot of contradictions. He himself, on your own platform, had suggested that his president was aware of the trip. Contrary to that, to what was said in the in the media briefing today. But I think if indeed he had contravened any of the clauses of the Constitution, then why not compel him to apologize? Why demote him? And it's certainly a demotion. But I suppose what informs this, I don't think it's necessarily his visit to the fugitive officially in so-called Shepherd Bushiri, because he's a fugitive. There has been an extradition permission between the two countries, Malawi and South Africa. So indeed, he is a fugitive. So that association between him as the face of the party, as the SG of the party, MKP party, and someone that is of interest to South African law would have definitely dented, gashed the brand image of the MKP. But I think there's much more beyond the Bushiri visit.
Yeah, but so you're saying that the trip would have dented the image of the MK party, but then you look at the wording that was used by the party in that briefing today, right? The trip was not officially sanctioned by the party and its president, and it went against the party's constitution. So there is no mention here about, in any way, the now former SG, if you will, putting the party into disrepute.
Yeah, certainly. If you put the party in disrepute and then you immediately constitute a hearing, you present your case, the party presents its case, you get suspended or you get reinstated in whatever case. But I think there's certainly much more beyond. There's been certainly, Floyd has been unpopular within the MKP. That's what we've seen, at least as far as some of their members are concerned. Remember, Floyd is a very seasoned politician with a rich history of activism, both in the ANC Youth League, obviously, in the formations such as SASCO. So Floyd himself, he's a force to be reckoned with within the MK party. So he wouldn't get to the MKP and be this timid, submissive, docile subject to the master in the headquarters in Gandla. So he's not a pushover, Floyd. So certainly I sense that there may have been some impatience with his character, his leadership style. Recently, not long ago, there was a tiff between him and the president's, MKP president's daughter, who then subsequently apologized, not so, but then was compelled to apologize again. So he would have ruffled some feathers because of his persona, because of his political ideals. And I know he now claims that MKP is the best thing ever. But I clearly see an opportunity here for the EFF to reconcile with Floyd, because certainly he's not been palatable to the MKP, clearly.
The likelihood of that happening, I mean, you obviously need to think about just how difficult the separation was between the EFF as well as Floyd Shivambu. There was the image of, Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu having had somewhat of an amicable separation. But you say an opportunity for the EFF. What would that look like?
Yeah, look, those are two. I liken Julius and Floyd to. But maybe not. But they were very a compatible partner. Remember what now Julius had said. He said, it's unconstitutional, but this is the one person that would be permitted to come back to the EFF. I see that happening. Prides aside, they were calling each other brother to brother, and that would be a dent again back at the MKP. Those two, they come back a long way. I'm convinced that this would be a gap for the EFF.
Let's look at the deployment, though. So Floyd Shivambu now being deployed to the National Assembly. Two questions come up, whether or not you view this as a demotion. I think that's been one of the bigger questions, especially after that announcement. And then what moves he could possibly make from within the National Assembly. So if perhaps he could be given, very special responsibilities in Parliament.
Yeah, the first one, it's not even a question, Naledi. It's certainly a demotion. It's the president and the SG that deploy MPs to legislatures and to the National Assembly, right? So it's certainly a demotion. That one is not even a debate. Secondly, I don't think there's much of an influence that he could have, except for the being at the opposition benches in the National Assembly. Remember, he can only do what they did in the EFF to make a noise and argue from the opposition side, because they're not part. The MKP is not part of the JNU. So in terms of influence and the impact, certainly not much, because they essentially are not part of government.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. Just from the optics of this moment for the MK party, this is a party that, hit the country by storm in the 2024 May elections, performing incredibly well. And then with the joining of Floyd Shivambu, a perception that this is really a party that is strengthening itself. With the optics of what we saw today, are we looking at a party that finds itself in some peril with this redeployment? Yeah, look,
the Floyd joining the MKP, Floyd, Dalimbof, and Jimmy Manyi, I think the MKP was just trying to refute the narrative that a tribe-based organization, a Zulu-based organization in KZN. But I think, again, look, they remain a KZN-based political party. You can see the numbers that they almost took over the province. So I don't think they can really escape that brand perception but they're Zulu-based. As I'm saying, again, their headquarters are somewhere in the rural Ngandla. They remain a tribe-based organization. I'm not saying they're tribal, but they remain a tribe-based organization. And Floyd, coming from a broad-based, culturally integrated EFF, would have found difficulty really in settling in a formation such as the MKP.
Yeah. Quite often people speak of Floyd Shivambu as a political strategist. I've heard that a few times from a few pundits. If he were a political strategist, what should be his next move?
I think, Floyd, obviously time will tell, as we now know, and it was anticipated. This was drummed up a couple of weeks ago that he'd be suspended, right? An opportunity arose through a visit to Malawi, and the caucus in the MK pounced and they demoted him. I stick with my initial point. I really think the door will be open for Floyd to go back to the EFF.
Okay.
Because look, he is a Marxist. He's a far leftist. And hence is in the MKP. The next best thing to that, something that would be very familiar to him, would be precisely the EFF.
Yeah.